Oh, hey! Oh, hey! Welcome to this week's 9 o'clock news.
Oh, hello there. I don't always talk about words of the week, but when I do, I talk about decoding. Let's go and we'll talk about it. Decoding is when a student is using syllables to figure out what a word means. So, instead of just trying to sound out the whole word, instead of trying to figure out the whole word at once, they break it up into syllables, segment it, and then sound it out piece by piece. And that is what decoding is. Trick question, you don't give kindergartners iPads?
Yes, Play-Doh. And I have proof right here. App of this week is Teach Me Kindergarten. And they also have Teach Me First Grade, but for all you 2nd through 5th grade teachers, oops, none for you. Anyways, Teach Me Kindergarten is basically an interactive way to teach language arts and math. It's really good for students who get caught up in moving the mouse around. Like, for example, we have a student in my class who has ADD, and moving the mouse around causes too much of a distraction loss for him. Whereas with the iPad, he can easily go in, let's see if we can go in, and it tallies up how well you're doing in each section. So we have addition, subtraction, spelling, and sight words. And so you can also write. So if they can ask you to spell a sight word, and you can write it in, and they'll track you and see if you can write the letters. And basically, that is it. And you earn rewards, and it's a really cool app.
Well, hey, the 3 things we learned this week were, we learned how to use Flipboard, which is this really awesome tool that you can go on, and it also connects to Twitter and Facebook, and you can look up any sort of educational, anything you really want. You search, and you can come up with thousands of pages of different information and cool articles and pages of knowledge for you to use. The second thing we learned, or did, was a science lesson plan on why we have seasons. The third and final thing that we learned today, or we talked about, was Twitter. We all joined Twitter. Yes, we joined the Twitter world, and we are now following educational philosophers.
This week we're going to talk about Gardner. Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence, that is. Human beings, according to him, have several different ways of learning and processing information and methods. He believes the methods are relatively independent of one another. Since 1999, Gardner has identified 8 intelligences: linguistic, logic mathematical, musical, spatial, bodily kinesthetic, interpersonal, intrapersonal, and naturalistic. Gardner is still considering a 9th, or existential intelligence. The intelligence of big questions, but he has not yet added it. He thinks that it will have something to do with seeing what you're really working with.
Alright, my story of the week has to do with the project we did with personification. And the kids in the class had to pick an object and then write a letter, or not a letter, a story about their object. So this one little boy, Davis, he picked a palace. And basically it was all about the French Revolution, and he picked these French names and stuff. And it was just crazy that a 3rd grader knew all this stuff about the French Revolution and everything. And he actually knows the palace's name, and it's a real palace. And some Revolutionary War hero that was French who lived in this palace. And it just goes to show you that you shouldn't underestimate what a kid can learn, because he probably knows more about it than I do.
I hope we don't run into a wall.
This is us leaving education class.
What time is it?
It's almost 10 o'clock.
9:41.
9:41, and it is past my bedtime, young sire. Oh, these are automatic doors. What we do after the 9 o'clock. We go home.
And then we teach tomorrow.
Yes.
Bye, John.